Be quiet has a case for us to review today. Hardware Hound here, and guys, we have a doozy of a case to look at today. In fact, well, by the time I get to where I'm doing my intro, I've already done everything. So, wow, I was not ready for this. I was not expecting to see this much intricate detail in this case. So we got from Be Quiet the darkbase Pro 900, and this is actually the revision 2 of that. So we're going to try to take a look at this case, and we're going to really answer one question, guys. What kind of case does somebody need to have a case that is truly customizable? I mean, we can talk about customization in terms of modding, and that's something that just about anybody can do. But what about customization and making sure that this case will fit any build? We're going to see that today. We're going to look at that, and then we're going to try to address exactly what you're going to want this case for as we wrap up this review. Let's dive in. This case is incredibly intricate, so we're going to take the process of reverse engineering it to kind of show the features that it can offer and then putting a build in it at the same time. So first thing we're showing right now is, as you can see, you can do a build upside down if you want in here. So we've got the fan that goes in the back of the motherboard on the bottom here. Here's our PCI slots up top. And so as you can see, this entire motherboard tray would actually come out and flip around. Well, you can't really see that yet, but we're going to see it here in a second. Now, I only put 2 screws in, but what you'll notice is there's actually 3 slots right here in the front that you can screw some screws into, and then there's going to be 3 screws on the back end here. So I'm going to go ahead and take these 2 out that I've got in here. And Be Quiet has these little orange rubber stopper kind of things that the screws kind of hold in. So when I unscrew a panel, it'll actually stay in place. So what happens is when you unscrew all the screws, this whole panel will just slide out. And then that's how you can take, just like that, and you can swap this whole build around. Now, when this thing is up right side up, it's going to slide in this way. And as you can see, our cables kind of just go along with everything. And so I would normally be able to slide it in like this. But we also have to swap this other panel around. So normally it's into the case kind of like this, and everything will just kind of get screwed in from that side there, and then I've got screws on the other end. So we're going to get that put together here in just a second, but before I put that panel back in, we also have to put this panel back in. And so this panel is really tricky. So normally you have your hard drive cage here in the bottom, and there's just, did I put this in right? No, upside down. So you'll kind of notice here that we have 3 thumb screws, and this middle one kind of goes in the top. And so you'll have this hard drive bay cage in here, and you can just screw it in, and it sits in there. Now, you would think everything is symmetrical, so you could just slide this panel out and just put it right over. It looks like that's the case, but I could not get everything to line up, and it looks like, here's the reason why. Now first off, this catch is kind of funny. So when you switch this whole thing over, the other thing you got to realize is there's these little tiny screws that actually have a flathead slot here, and these are for holding the glass panels. You actually have to pull these out first before you can even slide anything. So if I was switching everything over, then I could screw these guys back on this side, and I could have my glass panel back. But I had to take them out just to show this off. So this thing gets kind of sticky, but once you get it slid out, this whole panel slides out. And as you can see, we've got these slot covers all pop out so you can put extra drive mounts and things in there. Lots of room for storage. However, when you go to switch it and put it back on the other side, you also have to flip it. So now that I've got it flipped and on this other side, put that cable out of the way, it'll actually, oops, and I still have it the wrong way. So you have to face it, you know, the right ways, which is always preferable. So now you can kind of see, you guys are now starting to look at the back side of the case instead of the front side. This whole piece will slide into here. We're gonna make sure all of our cables are out of the way for those fans. And it's sticky, so you kind of have to maneuver it a little bit to get everything back into place. And once you do, you'll see some of the screw holes lining up. And now we will be able to bring this panel. It actually slides in this way, and it'll come in just like that, and we just screw everything back together. So there's the first idea behind this whole modular design. Let me get this stuff put together now, and we'll continue and start putting some parts in this case. Okay, we're going to do this build the way that, well, I'm going to do it now. So I've got everything put back together. So the motherboard tray and back panel here is all back in, as well as the side panel. Now the side panel, it's got screws, you know, on the back end of this, but it's got screws up top, down the front here, and at the bottom. So on 3 sides here. And then this 90-degree tray, just to reiterate, we've got 3 screws here, 3 screws on this kind of back edge, and then 3 screws on this back edge. And once you have those out, this whole thing slides out. But then once you screw it all back in, once you have it all screwed in, it is really secure. It doesn't feel wobbly or anything, which is good. We've got our hard drive cage back down here in the bottom, and we've got a motherboard tray. So Be Quiet does have a ton of accessories. I've got about half a dozen cable ties right here. Got some extra rubber washers in case we lose any, which is great. And then of course just a plethora of screws. So I wanted to show off those accessories real quick because yeah, we got a lot of screws going on here, which is great. Looks like we got plenty to mount, including some really high standoffs, which I don't know for sure what those are for. And I may have trouble finding everything because guys, this case is a beast. But let's go ahead and start getting some parts in here now. All right. So this case is really weird and interesting, and it's not easy to judge right now. So, but it's interesting to say the least. So let's talk about this motherboard and this radiator install, because I had everything together and we're just gonna put it in. So motherboard was a little tricky. At first, so everything with a motherboard now comes with, as you know, this, oh, let me check something. Okay. Just want to make sure my focus was on, because if my focus wasn't on, this would look terrible. All right, let's try this again. So you'll notice here that this motherboard, all these motherboards now come with this built-in I/O panel, which is really cool because you never forget, well, I/O panel shield, I guess you call it. So you never forget to snap that baby in before you put your motherboard on, which is nice. But the flip side is sometimes really, I've had a lot of trouble getting this motherboard onto things. But when I was installing this board, I noticed that it was just these end mount screws that were a little bit off, but these the center and this other end were pretty lined up. So I can't really tell if that's a Gigabyte problem or a Be Quiet problem, but it wasn't like a problem, it was just minor nuisance, I guess I'd say. And since I've had this kind of issue with this motherboard and everything, I might have to lean a little towards Gigabyte, but some information I wanted to share regardless. All right. Radiator. So it really, guys, I don't want to be too harsh on Be Quiet because I really don't know who all uses these things still. I hate 5¼ bay drives now. I despise them. They're dust magnets, they're huge, they're bulky, they're clunky. I mean, even if you have a fan controller that goes into one of these guys, I mean, you could get a fan controller that fits into the back plate of your, the cable management space and not have a big clunky one. So I hate these drives, but the only way I could get my 360mm radiator up here was to remove this guy. Now at first, I didn't think that was going to be so bad. I did have some screws in the front, but what really made this obnoxious, and it wasn't terrible, but Be Quiet's I/O thing here was in the way of the top screws for me to get rid of that. So I had to take out these 4 screws in the top, which then this thing just lifts up nice and easy, and then I was able to get to it. Now, that's not a huge deal, don't get me wrong, guys. But I kind of just wish Be Quiet would not put the 5.5-inch drive bay in there, because it's just clunky, it's in the way, and most people, you get in a case like this, there's a really good chance that at the minimum you're going to have a 360mm CLC like I have in here. So I don't think that Be Quiet needs to include these for their kind of builders that they're going to have. But I could be wrong, because I don't know the entire market. I know I despise these things, and you can get a $20 to $30 USB drive that's way more efficient and doesn't have to take up space in your computer, and you just plug it in when you need it off of Amazon. So, and they're slim, and you plug them in when you need them, unplug them when you don't. Alright, I don't want this review to be too long, although I have a feeling it's still going to take a while to get through everything in this case. But there was one other thing about this. I go to put my radiator in here, and it wouldn't fit. It was hitting my top heatsink. Now, you guys know I hate that. Like, you're going to give me a ginormous case, you better have room for this. But it wasn't all bad, because as you can see, the 360mm radiator is installed. This side panel, if you can kind of see, there's like multiple mounting screws here. Actually, these holes in this side don't mean anything. They're there for when you flip this around, but what they do show you is there's multiple holes here that you can screw into. You can actually lower this whole panel, and that solved my problem. It was minorly obnoxious, because once again I had to do extra steps of unscrewing 9 screws, sliding this down and screwing them back in. But I mean, for a reviewer, that's annoying, because we do this kind of crap all the time and we want easy in and out when we can get it. But when you're actually building a long-term build and you've bought this case, that's actually kind of fantastic, because it means that if you have a extra thick radiator, or your fans are a little wider than usual, you can drop this whole tray down and then have enough room for it. That kind of surprised me. And I was worried about this PSU mount not fitting, but Be Quiet even left enough room back here so that you can still put this guy in and not interfere with the motherboard. And so as you can see here, if I can ever, I'm stuck. Aha. So yeah, as you can see, I can still lift this guy out free and clear of the motherboard. So surprisingly, very versatile, even though it's going to take a lot of steps. Let's get over to this power supply now and start getting that installed. Alright, guys, why don't you go on a little journey of discovery with me? Okay, so first off, I'm back. And you're probably like, wait, back from what? Well, I just did a detour for a little bit of power supply review. In fact, I got a review going on this little unit right here. You probably can't see it, now you can see it. So it's power supply. So we're gonna have a video for that too. But I'm kind of reviewing both things at the same time, because this case is kind of a beast and it's gonna be hard to take things apart and back together. So while I'm cutting videos, you're just sitting there thinking, what? That's all right. It's okay if you guys are confused, because you need to enjoy my suffering. So this power supply here has a bracket that you connect it to, but then there's these holes on the bottom that you slide it in on, and then when I took this bracket out, those holes were nice and tight. But you kind of see the problem, right? So I got my screws back in here, and well, I can't really tighten them again. So I guess I just kind of bring them down to where they make sense. Because you can't really screw this power supply in after the fact, right? Because I've got all this mesh and back panel in the way, and it doesn't unscrew, it's riveted in. However, what I'm not understanding here, and I guess it's for the sake of the modular design, but it feels like this case, it feels like this case has no point to have this. Oh, okay, I gotcha. It all makes sense now, guys. So because this motherboard tray can move up or down depending on whether you need more radiator space or whether you have like an air cooler and you want more, like say you're doing a mining machine or something, need more PCI risers, this power supply won't fit when this is down. You can kind of see now, and I just realized that. Which explains why they've got this different system going on here. But the flip side of that whole endeavor is the fact that you can't really tighten down those bottom screws. But it looks like I got it snapped in. So once you have it snapped in, you just screw in these two side screws again, and your power supply really isn't going anywhere. And so I feel like we've got ourselves a pretty good situation here. That's not too bad. Once again, if you are building this PC and you need to, this little bracket actually is on either side, so you don't have to worry about that one. It's riveted in, so you're not going to move that. So you can actually move this power supply forward or backwards depending on what you want it to be. So yeah, you can put the fan upside down or right side up. We're going to keep it down because we're going to put some cover panels on here when it's all said and done. But if you don't want the fan up, the power supply shroud actually does have, you can see that right there. We've got these like mesh covers if we want to have more breathability on the top there. You probably get a little better airflow if you use this mesh on the top than you would on the bottom, but I don't think it's going to matter either way for this power supply unit, so we're not going to have to worry about it too much. Okay guys, I'm going to get this power supply the rest of the way in, and we're going to get the rest of this rolling here, and we will move on to finishing up this build. So I have one screw here that I know went somewhere, but I don't remember where. I mean, I think I have a home for it. It might be the right spot. I mean, I kind of want to think it's one screw. What's the worst that could happen? But also, Doctor Who told us that that's one of those things you never ever say. So, all right, we are really getting into this home stretch here. So, yeah. Here we are with the PSU cover back in, and as you can see, I've completed a lot of this build now. We've got some panels here that just snap in and out, and so those can be used to cover it up and make it look cleaner, as what I've chose to done, or you know, you can kind of pop them out and have that airflow, which I showed already. I don't need to pop that out again. Yeah, so once I got this in, there's 3 screws that line up on the front side, and then there's 1 screw that goes in this back side, and that one in the back side, when you got all the cables in the way, a little bit harder, but not too bad. I would definitely recommend an iFixit, because then you have that little magnetic tip, make life a lot easier. So yeah, as you can see, we're not going to have a ton of room with a dual card setup to breathe here like this, because I had to drop the entire tray down to make room for this. So this is something that will affect very little to nobody, so I'm not worried about it. But for these 2 cards, actually, that's not bad at all, as long as we got some good front air fan flow. Now, Be Quiet included with this case 2 RGB LED strips. Now, I believe they're just the 12-volt kind, but I've got one here and up here at top. They've come with 3M stick-on tape, so you can stick them up in there, but be careful, guys, because you're going to have some slots in here that you're going to have to watch out for, because your panels are going to have to snap back in. So make sure you put them in past the slots. They're going to come in a little bit farther in from the edge than right there at the edge. So, yeah. Looks really clean though. The cable management space was really good on this front side. We're going to take a look at the cable management space on the back side too. So yeah, let's look at the other back side of this case and talk about that for a moment. Now this back end looks a lot cleaner right now, because as you can see, we've got some nice mesh paneling. There's no weird empty spaces, and there's a reason for that. When I dropped this whole back panel down, it actually left a space up here, and this part here was sticking up over the top in kind of a funky way. Well, there's 2 brackets here that are about the width of like a PCI slot, and these guys unscrew, and so I took one out the bottom and put it up here, here up top, and that's so that you can cover up that spacing depending on how far down or up you move this whole back motherboard tray, since this whole piece will move up and down. Now, there was something really weird about this though. So these screws are kind of nice and long, and I'm trying to get it in. It slipped and it just dropped right down in this corner. I couldn't find it. There's like a nice hollow space in this corner. I finally got the case flipped over and got this screw out, but oh my goodness. Wow, I've never had a screw get dropped in such a weird spot before. That wasn't just like, hey, I lost it in my power supply or something. So watch out, guys, because there is some interesting nooks and crannies in this case, and you could be spending some time flipping the guy upside down to get to it. But yeah, not bad. We got it out, got it all together, and so now you can kind of see there's just this lot of mesh here in the back for breathability, which is not bad at all. So there's a number of ways to install these SSDs in this case, and in this particular case they've got a tray here on the back that's really easy. So you just screw it in, and then this little guy is going to latch back into here, and then I just got to get some cables out of the way, and we got our thumb screw right there that screws this guy in. So yeah, not bad. Easy install for the solid state drive. Now take a look at this guy here, this beauty of a fan hub. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 channels on this total fan hub. They're actually split into 2 separate channels, and we have a switch where we can do performance or silent mode for the fans. Now, being the fact that right now the only fans I've got plugged in are my Be Quiet fans, I feel like performance is going to be just fine here. There's the there's actually a third one here, but there's these two 12-volt RGB headers for the RGB strips, and then there's a bunch of power and control connections that'll go up to the front here so that you can kind of control things. So we're going to look into that in more detail as we get to it. Alright, I got a little bit more to connect here, and then we can see how well this cable management works. But as you can kind of see already, putting some things together, got a little bit left to do. We'll see if the panel slides on nice and easily. Okay, so with everything in place, you can see I've got a pretty decent cable management setup going on here, and with a little extra Velcro strips that Be Quiet gives, it's pretty easy to tie things together, and I've also got what looks like a decent amount of room to shove cables away down underneath here where the power supply cover's at. So it's a little easier on the management side, a little easier on the whole getting everything together side. So the real question will be, do we have enough room to get this case on, this back panel? So right off the bat, I'm going to just try to line up these guys first. But I can kind of tell already that I am hitting cables. So I'm hitting cables and I can feel it, but it slides in pretty easily. So that's not too shabby right there. Still, I feel like on a case this size, I could so do with more cable management space. Like, I don't feel like it should be tight at all. And so that's, to me, a minor disappointment, but all considering, can't complain too much about that. That was pretty easy to get that back panel back on. So that's a pass. Could be better, but it's a pass. Okay, time to put some panels back on and look at how some of this stuff works. So this panel, remember, we're reverse engineering this, so we're gonna kind of show how this all looks. So the front panel has a door on here that these things will pop open on you. So just be careful about that. We have a removable dust filter here. The other thing that this front panel has, which is just a little bit tricky here, is, so there's 4 tabs on each side, and they're push tabs. So if you're going to take this panel off, you actually have to reach in on the inside of the case and push these tabs in. Not as great to me as the panels where they have things that just kind of pop loose. Flip side of it being though is that this panel is going to stick on there much better, even if it is a little bit harder to get off. So, but putting it back in is usually not too hard, because once you have these tabs lined up, you can just kind of just push it right in, and it'll usually snap right in place. Although this side's getting a little stuck, and I might have to look into that there a little bit. But yeah, once you get past everything, it's usually fine. There we go. So just had to get past all the stuff. And now my door's in, and if I want, I can just pop that back open, and it looks like we are set. So, in theory, there it goes. So yeah, this guy will slide all the way back in there, and then you have that latch to grab, and voila. So see, you guys got to watch me stumble and mess around with that a little bit in a weird way. So then, yeah, same thing goes with our top panel. Our top panel here has a cutout. It has the same thing, 4 tabs that you'll have to push when you're pulling it out. Snaps in easy enough, but when you're pulling it out, it can be a little bit obnoxious. So once you get it lined up though, the top one pops in really nice and easily. So while we're here, I'll adjust this front panel. We have 2 USB 3.0 ports. We have microphone and headset. We have a little guy here that can control our lighting. We have our power light and hard drive light. We have a USB 3.1 Type-C port. This is the first time I've gotten to mess with one of these and have them on a case. And it looks like we have a little 2.0 port, or maybe just even a charging port, but it looks like it's tied in with the USB 3.1. So I'm not 100% sure on data just yet. I'll find out with when I plug in a flash drive in it. All right, I think we are about ready to turn this bad boy on. Okay, there's our completed build. So as you can see, we have plenty of room for everything. I've got my 2 graphics cards, got space for those. Got our 360mm rad up top there, looking good. You can see the RGB LED strips there on the top, is kind of glowing down, and on the side, giving us that little bit of extra lighting. You can actually change the colors of those strips by using the onboard controller by pressing the button. I noticed the button was really hard to press. Like, you can't just press it with a finger. You actually had to use like a screwdriver or tool to really push that button in. And I'm really good with that, because it also means that if you're fumbling for the power button or fumbling and plug in a USB device, you're not going to accidentally change your colors. Like, you really have to press that hard to get it to work. You also have motherboard control or onboard control for those fans. There's a switch in the front that when you switch it, you can switch to PWM control motherboard or PWM control from the fan controller itself. So yeah, this is looking like a really good case on the build level. Let's go ahead and wrap this up though, because I want to talk about where this case actually fits in terms of those of you looking for the next case for your next build, or current build, or next build, or both. You could use this for a current build and put a next build. You know, we'll get there. At $270, oh man, I mean, we are talking about a pricey case, and there's no getting around that. This case is going to cost pretty penny. It is a huge case though, so as you'd expect, anything that's like a kind of EATX tower size case is going to cost a little more. We've got the capability to support up to 420mm radiators in this guy. I mean, size is definitely going to be on our side with this case. It gives us lots of room for building. I also didn't get to even come close to showing off all the different storage possibilities you could do with this case. I mean, there is like 50 dozen of these brackets that you can do for whether you're doing solid state drives or traditional hard drives. So there's a lot of room for other options that we haven't even explored in this review. Now, $270 is a lot, but where's this case going to really help you out a lot? Guys, I will say I've never seen a case that is as customizable as this. And when I say customizable, I don't mean modding. Yeah, I've seen the master cases and they are very plain and easy to mod. That's great and all, but not everybody wants to take a Dremel to their case. With just a simple screwdriver, well, flathead and Phillips, but still, with just a couple of screwdrivers, you can level and adjust and change things on this case to make it work. Like, for instance, I've got this 360mm Radiator, but I've got the square GB fans from Enermax. Those things are a little bit thicker than the average fan. I couldn't fit my motherboard in there. Oh, but I can drop the whole tray. So now if I want to customize this case to really fit radiators and fans, I can do it. However, if I'm trying to run a 4 GPU mining system out of this case, well, I could probably raise that tray up, use a tower air cooler on the processor, and have more room for graphics cards. The options to customize this case to fit your specific build is through the roof. Flip side of that though is, what is most people going to do? A motherboard, a single graphics card, and some kind of cooler. It may not be the case for everyone, but if you are looking for a long-term solution for the build you currently have and your future builds to come, darkbase Pro is going to be a very solid option. Guys, I'm going to give this guy a great style award. I love the slightly, kind of curved off edges on the corners. I think it looks very nice. It's a very professional look. If you guys don't like the orange, Be Quiet has a silver option too, so you don't have to stick with orange. I'm going to have to give it a great function award. I mean, I've never seen a case. At first, I didn't like how complicated it was, but in all honesty, the complications are only because it's giving you so many customization options. So it's actually got some amazing function because it allows you to do whatever you want with it. And yeah, that takes a little more work, but not in a bad way. So we're gonna say definitely on a great function, but it's gonna cost you. $270 is a pretty good price for a case. Guys, I hope you liked this video. I tried to keep it short as I can, and I don't think I could have even came close to keeping it short because this was an intensive case. But hey, like and subscribe to my channel if you want to keep me going. I mean, videos are not the easiest things to do all the time, so any support is always hugely, hugely helpful. And let me know in the comments below if you got anything you want to say or questions to ask, and I will catch you later.